Hawaii, once a symbol of American tourism, is now grappling with the most devastating tourism crisis in decades. What was once a dream vacation destination for millions of Americans is now eerily quiet. Beaches that once buzzed with life now lay empty, hotels are left vacant, and souvenir shops are permanently closed. The iconic archipelago, known for its vibrant culture and lush landscapes, has become a ghost of its former self. But the story of Hawaii's tourism collapse goes far beyond the shores of these islands. It's a warning sign for the broader American tourism industry, reflecting the deep struggles many iconic destinations are facing. Local businesses are shuttering, families reliant on tourism are in distress, and travelers are becoming increasingly cautious about spending. Could this be the beginning of a larger crisis for American tourism as a whole? As we dive into this unfolding story, we need your thoughts. Comment 1 if you agree that American tourism is facing a major crisis, and 0 if you disagree. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. And now, let's explore this crisis together. Hawaii's tourism crisis is unfolding with alarming figures. Recently, in June 2024, the number of tourists visiting Hawaii dropped by 2% compared to the same period last year. This is a clear sign of a decline in the tourism sector, which plays a vital role in the economy of this island chain. However, the most significant decrease occurred in Maui, where tourism dropped by more than 20% following the devastating Lahaina wildfire disaster, one of the worst natural events in the region's history. Maui, known as one of Hawaii's most popular tourist destinations, has witnessed severe devastation from the wildfire disaster. Famous areas like Lahaina, which once symbolized the culture and tourism of the region, now lie in ruins. The wildfire not only ravaged the natural landscape, but also disrupted the lives of thousands of local residents, pushing them into hardship. Local businesses, especially accommodations and restaurants, have been severely impacted, leading to a drop in income for those dependent on the service industry. Tourism in Hawaii, particularly on islands like Maui, plays a key role in generating employment and providing income for a large segment of the population. Workers in the hotel, restaurant, transportation, and customer service sectors are facing severe reductions in work and income. The decrease in visitors affects not only large companies, but also weakens small businesses, from family-run cafes to souvenir shops. This leaves many families not only without jobs, but also struggling with prolonged economic hardship. The Lahaina wildfire is a direct factor contributing to the decline in tourism in Maui. However, this is not just an isolated incident, but a clear example of the connection between natural disasters and the tourism economy. When disasters occur, tourist destinations not only suffer infrastructure damage, but also lose their appeal to visitors. Tourists are hesitant to visit areas that are facing natural disasters or have not fully recovered. As a result, tourism in affected regions not only takes longer to recover, but may also experience prolonged stagnation. While a slight decrease in tourism numbers may seem insignificant in the short term, in the long term, it will have far-reaching consequences. For Hawaii, this decline could lead to a restructuring of the local economy. Areas heavily reliant on tourism will need to find ways to adapt and develop other industries to avoid complete dependence on tourism. Traditional jobs like crafts, organic farming, and creative industries may become alternative options. However, this transition will not be easy and will require a long process. Hawaii must develop emergency response plans and strengthen preparations to cope with natural disasters. Disaster recovery projects must also be implemented efficiently and systematically to minimize impacts on local communities. Although tourism is Hawaii's main source of income, over-reliance on a single industry is risky. The government and community must promote diversification of the local economy, developing other sustainable and creative industries to avoid being too dependent on tourism. In this difficult situation, local residents must unite and support each other. Programs that assist those who have lost their jobs, help restore local businesses, and create new employment opportunities are crucial. At the same time, tourists must recognize their role in maintaining the community's growth by supporting local services and products. Another significant factor in the decline of tourism in Hawaii is the rise of movements calling on tourists to stay home from the native Hawaiian community. In recent years, an increasing number of native Hawaiians have spoken out about the negative impacts of tourism on their environment, culture, and society. Several organizations and community groups have started urging tourists to reconsider visiting Hawaii, especially when the benefits of the tourism industry don't always reach the local community. Many native Hawaiians argue that the tourism industry has contributed to overexploitation of natural resources, erosion of their culture, and skyrocketing living costs that burden the residents. These stories have spread widely through social media and mainstream media, leading many tourists to feel pressured to reconsider their trips. Some tourists, particularly those sensitive to social and environmental issues, may feel uncomfortable visiting an area where the local community is asking them to stay away. This movement is not just limited to individuals, but is also supported by organizations and the native Hawaiian community, making the message more powerful and hard to ignore. This is one of the factors causing a shift in tourist attitudes toward visiting Hawaii, creating a growing divide between the tourism industry and the local community. Areas affected by natural disasters need strong recovery plans, not only from the government but also from investors and tourism businesses. Rapid recovery will help tourists return and maintain trust in the region's ability to recover. The government and tourism organizations need to find ways to support airlines in lowering ticket prices, especially for families and tourists on a limited budget. This could include subsidy policies or creating promotional programs to ease the financial burden on tourists. The Hawaii community and the tourism industry must find cooperative solutions to ensure that tourism develops sustainably without harming the environment and the culture of the local people. This could involve creating responsible tourism models that respect cultural values and protect natural resources. As tourism faces numerous challenges, understanding the root causes and finding appropriate solutions is essential to protect and sustainably develop Hawaii's tourism industry in the future. The people of Hawaii are facing an unprecedented crisis as economic and social factors combine to create a cost of living disaster. In this section, we will analyze the challenges the local community is overcoming, from the skyrocketing prices of essential goods to the impact of short-term rental models. One of the most serious issues Hawaii residents are facing is the sharp rise in the prices of essential goods. The high cost of gasoline has made transportation, especially for those living in more remote areas, a heavy burden. Locals are forced to spend significant amounts just to travel within the island, directly affecting their household budgets, which leads them to cut other expenses to maintain their daily lives. Along with this, the price of milk, one of the most essential consumer items, has also surged. This not only impacts families with young children, but also poses difficulties for the elderly or those on fixed incomes. The rising cost of milk means an increase in the cost of living, yet many locals' incomes have remained stagnant, creating a harsh and challenging life for them. However, the most severe impact has been the skyrocketing housing prices. Real estate prices in Hawaii, especially in central areas, have become an unbearable burden for local families. Many locals can no longer afford to buy a home or even rent one long-term. Meanwhile, competition from investors and tourists wanting to buy or rent homes in Hawaii has caused housing prices to soar, leading to a housing crisis. A major contributing factor to this housing price spike is the model of short-term rentals, especially through platforms like Airbnb. As more homes are converted into short-term rental properties for tourists, locals are increasingly unable to find long-term rental options at reasonable prices. Property owners, instead of renting to locals, prefer renting to tourists through Airbnb for higher short-term profits. This drives up rental prices, pushing residents out, particularly low and middle-income families. This model not only causes a housing shortage, but also increases the divide between local residents and outsiders, especially tourists and wealthy investors. Local residents, instead of having access to affordable housing, find themselves pushed out of areas where they've lived for generations. Moreover, the rise in short-term rental properties has also led to a shift in community dynamics. Neighborhoods once peaceful and closely connected to Hawaiian culture are now overcrowded, unstable, and lacking the long-term family bonds that once defined them. This not only affects the quality of life for residents, but also erodes the sense of community and neighborly compassion that Hawaii once had. As prices soar, local businesses are also facing significant hardships. Small shops, local restaurants, and family-run businesses are struggling with high costs for supplies, rent, and labor. Especially businesses that serve essential community needs, like grocery stores, pharmacies, and essential services, are unable to maintain reasonable prices as they face rising production costs. While larger businesses and tourist resorts may be able to raise prices to offset these higher costs, smaller businesses lack the resources to do so. This leads to a decline in the quantity and quality of local services, negatively affecting the everyday lives of residents. Local governments need to implement stricter policies on short-term rental models like Airbnb to protect local residents from being displaced from their homes. Measures to limit the number of short-term rentals could help reduce the housing shortage and make it easier for locals to access affordable housing. The government must take steps to reduce the cost of living for Hawaii residents, from controlling gas and milk prices to increasing support for low-income families. Financial assistance programs for those in difficulty need to be implemented more effectively to help them get through this tough period. Tourism is an important industry in Hawaii, but it needs to develop in a more sustainable direction. This could include encouraging tourists to engage in activities that do not harm the environment or local communities, while supporting local businesses in ways that do not place an additional burden on Hawaii residents. Hawaii needs to find comprehensive solutions to address these urgent issues, protect the livelihoods of local residents, and continue the development of the tourism industry in a way that benefits both the community and the economy. The tourism crisis in Hawaii is not just an economic issue, but also a crisis with social and cultural implications. Amid the sharp decline in tourism, local residents have begun to express increasingly strong reactions to the presence of tourists. These changes in attitudes and emotions reflect exhaustion, frustration, and a sense of invasion caused by the tourism industry's impact on their daily lives. In the past, the people of Hawaii were always proud of their tradition of welcoming visitors with open hearts. Aloha was not just a simple greeting, but a symbol of hospitality, kindness, and a warm welcome to all tourists. However, as tourism grew stronger, the benefits of tourism have not been equitably distributed. Instead, local residents began to feel overwhelmed by the influx of tourists, especially in the context of rising living costs and changing living environments. Today, aloha is no longer a welcoming greeting, but has become a ticket to send tourists away from their homeland. This is a reminder that the presence of tourists is no longer welcomed by locals as it once was. They feel that the areas, homes, and communities they have lived in for generations are being taken over. Resorts, upscale restaurants, and tourist-only zones are gradually replacing their living spaces, making them feel like invaders have arrived uninvited. With these changes, locals no longer see tourists as companions, but as intruders who alter the island's landscape and disrupt their lives. The rise in luxury resorts, short-term rental services like Airbnb, and changes in infrastructure have led many Hawaii residents to feel they are being pushed out of their own homeland. The growing anger and frustration within the Hawaii community are evident as locals witness the drastic changes in their lives. As costs rise and tourism continues to dominate public spaces, many locals feel abandoned. They believe that they do not receive equitable benefits from the booming tourism industry, but instead, they bear the negative consequences such as increased living costs, job losses, and the transformation of their local culture. This feeling is especially pronounced in small communities, where the bond and solidarity between members are an essential part of daily life. As these areas are occupied by large businesses and tourism investors, the local community is losing its unity and traditional values. In the past, aloha was one of the most important cultural values in Hawaii, symbolizing a warm welcome and harmony between people and nature. However, today, as life becomes more difficult for locals and the problems caused by tourism worsen, aloha is no longer a welcoming phrase, but a reminder of change and loss. It is no longer a symbol of hospitality, but a sign of exhaustion and a call for tourists to reconsider their intrusion into local residents' living spaces. The image of aloha now becomes an open question for tourists visiting Hawaii. Do they understand the problems the local community is facing, or are they just there to enjoy the beauty without considering the difficulties faced by the residents? Hawaii needs to develop a sustainable tourism strategy that not only helps grow the industry, but also protects the interests of the local community. This includes regulating the development of resorts, short-term rental models, and ensuring that the benefits of tourism are equitably distributed to local residents. Hawaii's tourism industry is facing major challenges, particularly in terms of costs, when compared to other global destinations. Travel costs in Hawaii, including airfare, accommodations, and recreational activities, have risen so significantly that many tourists are now seeking more affordable alternatives. In this section, we will analyze the factors driving high travel costs in Hawaii and the changes in tourist behavior in response. One of the main factors making Hawaii less attractive compared to other destinations is its overall high cost. From transportation to on-site spending, Hawaii has become a destination that is not easily accessible for many tourists, especially those with limited budgets. Airfare from major U.S. cities to Hawaii is currently very high, frequently ranging from $400 to $700 for a round-trip flight. This makes many tourists feel that the cost of traveling to Hawaii has become a heavy burden. Additionally, airfare prices rise during peak tourist seasons, making it more challenging to plan a vacation in Hawaii. Hotel or apartment rental prices in Hawaii are much higher than those at other tourist destinations such as Mexico or the Caribbean. A night at a 3-star hotel can cost up to $200 or more, whereas in places like Mexico, tourists can find quality accommodations for just $50–100 per night. The rise of short-term rental properties, like those listed on Airbnb, has also driven up housing prices, creating a stark price difference between Hawaii and other destinations. Food in Hawaii, especially at tourist restaurants, is also expensive, with a typical meal at an average restaurant costing between $20–50 per person. In contrast, at other destinations such as Mexico or the Caribbean, visitors can enjoy quality meals for half the price or even lower. Furthermore, recreational activities such as tours, water sports, and national park visits are priced higher in Hawaii than at other locations. Compared to Hawaii, travel to Mexico offers a much more attractive option. Not only is airfare cheaper, usually between $200 and $400 for a round-trip flight from the US, but tourists can also find affordable lodging and dining options. Moreover, Mexico offers a wide variety of tourism services with high quality, from luxury resorts to beautiful beaches, all at a fraction of the cost of Hawaii. Caribbean islands, especially in the East and West Indies, such as Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, and the Bahamas, are also popular destinations with much lower travel costs than Hawaii. Flight prices from the US to these islands typically range from $250 to $500, while accommodation at resorts and hotels is much more affordable, starting from $100 per night. Services in the Caribbean are also diverse and rich, with beautiful beaches and exciting water sports activities, all at a much lower cost than in Hawaii. Costa Rica, with its rich natural landscapes, outdoor activities, and ecotourism, is a popular choice for those seeking a similar experience to Hawaii, but at a much lower cost. Flights to Costa Rica range from $300 to $500, and accommodations at budget resorts or hotels are very reasonable, costing around $50–150 per night. Additionally, Costa Rica is known for activities like hiking, exploring rainforests, and ecotourism tours, all of which are much cheaper than activities in Hawaii. With the rise in travel costs, tourist behavior has changed noticeably. Tourists today are no longer willing to spend large amounts of money to visit expensive destinations like Hawaii and are instead looking for more affordable options. Many tourists have started opting for more budget-friendly destinations like Mexico, Costa Rica, or Caribbean islands instead of Hawaii. These destinations not only offer lower airfare and lodging costs, but also provide similar recreational and tourist activities, from stunning beaches to luxury resorts. A prominent trend in current travel behavior is the preference for domestic destinations or closer alternatives to save on costs. Locations such as California, Florida, and southern and southeastern U.S. coastal areas are attracting tourists with more affordable costs and more diverse tourism services. Tourists are also more likely to seek all-inclusive travel packages, which include airfare, accommodation, and activities. These packages help them save money and easily manage their vacation budget. This shift creates a move from self-planned travel to group or tour travel options, where tourism services are packaged and cost-reduced. As the global tourism industry faces numerous challenges, visa policies and border control measures, particularly in the United States, have become crucial factors that significantly impact the flow of international tourists. One of the most notable changes in recent times has been the increase in visa fees for tourists from major countries, including India, China, and Mexico. This policy, while aimed at regulating the flow of immigrants to the U.S., has sparked mixed reactions and has had a notable effect on the international tourism industry. Under the new regulations, visitors from countries such as India, China, and Mexico will have to pay an additional $50 visa fee upon entering the U.S. This is a decision with wide-reaching effects, as these countries are key contributors to international tourism to the U.S., particularly for major cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Hawaii. Both India and China have been among the largest sources of tourists to the U.S. in recent years. With their large populations and rapidly growing economies, tourists from these countries have contributed significantly to the U.S. tourism economy, especially in areas like shopping, sightseeing, and participating in cultural activities. However, with the increase in the visa fee by $50, tourists from these countries may reconsider their travel plans, especially as other travel options with lower visa fees, such as European destinations or Southeast Asia, become more appealing. Mexico, a neighboring country to the U.S. and also an important source of tourists, has historically had special visa agreements with the U.S. However, the increase in visa fees will raise the cost of travel for Mexican citizens. This may lead to a decrease in the number of Mexican tourists visiting the U.S., with some potentially choosing closer destinations like the Caribbean or Central America. The increase in visa fees is one of the factors contributing to the decline in international tourists visiting the U.S. However, it's not just the visa fee that is a concern. Strict border control policies also play an important role in changing the behavior of international tourists. After the COVID-19 pandemic, U.S. border control policies became more stringent, with many complicated regulations and procedures for international visitors. Requirements like COVID-19 tests, proof of financial support, or additional documentation have made it harder to enter the U.S. This not only creates a significant barrier for tourists, but also forces them to reconsider whether the U.S. is the right destination, especially when other destinations offer easier entry procedures and lower visa fees. The number of international tourists to the U.S. has declined in recent years, and the change in visa policies and tighter border controls is likely to worsen this situation. Tourists from countries like India, China, and Mexico, key tourism markets, may feel less inclined to visit the U.S. due to the complicated procedures and high costs. Countries like Canada, Europe, or Asian destinations like Japan and South Korea are emerging as more attractive alternatives, offering more reasonable costs and simpler entry procedures. In response to the strict visa policies and border control measures, many tourists have started turning to other destinations less affected by stringent regulations. European Union countries, the Caribbean region, or Southeast Asian countries such as Thailand, Singapore, and Malaysia are becoming increasingly popular due to their flexible visa requirements and more affordable costs. One of the regions most affected by the decline in international tourists is Hawaii. Hawaii, as a popular tourist destination, relies heavily on tourist arrivals from countries such as Japan, China, and other Southeast Asian nations. The decline in international visitors to the U.S., combined with the higher visa fees and complicated entry procedures, will create even more significant challenges for Hawaii's tourism industry and regions dependent on international tourism. The model of sustainable tourism is becoming an increasingly important trend in the tourism industry, not only to protect the environment, but also to ensure long-term benefits for local communities. In Hawaii, particularly in Maui, Ecotourism policies and the Maui campaign have been implemented to attract tourists back after natural disasters and the decline in tourism. However, while sustainable tourism offers clear benefits for the environment and communities, it also has a significant impact on local workers, pushing them to adapt to a new tourism model, sometimes with disruptions. Hawaii, especially Maui, has begun implementing several sustainable tourism strategies to protect the natural environment and preserve local culture while still attracting tourists. Ecotourism policies focus on minimizing the negative impact of tourism on nature, such as limiting tourist numbers in conservation areas, reducing emissions from transportation, and encouraging tourists to participate in environmental activities like beach cleanups or ecotourism tours. One notable initiative is the Maui campaign, launched with the aim of attracting tourists back to Maui after the devastating Lahaina wildfire. Maui promotes Maui as a sustainable tourism destination, where visitors can not only explore the island's beautiful natural landscapes, but also engage in environmental protection activities, support the local community, and learn about Hawaiian traditional culture. These ecotourism activities help minimize negative impacts while also creating meaningful travel experiences that connect tourists with the community and environment. The sustainable tourism model has a broad impact on local communities. While the goal of this model is to protect natural resources and maintain sustainable development for tourist areas, it also creates significant changes in how the tourism industry operates and affects the lives of local residents. Sustainable tourism strategies help protect natural areas, reduce pollution, and preserve ecosystems. These activities not only maintain the beauty of the landscape, but also improve the quality of life for local residents, especially those who rely on agriculture, fishing, and industries related to natural resources. Campaigns like Maui encourage tourists to participate in activities such as tree planting, wildlife protection, or engaging in environmental restoration projects. This not only strengthens community awareness, but also provides opportunities for tourists to contribute to the sustainable development of the area. While sustainable tourism brings many benefits for the environment and community, it also presents challenges for local workers. Workers in the tourism industry, including those in hotels, restaurants, transportation services, and ancillary sectors, may face changes in the way they work and new skill requirements. One potential benefit of the sustainable tourism model is the creation of new jobs in industries related to environmental protection, ecotourism, and community tourism activities. These jobs can help improve income for workers, especially those in areas with limited job opportunities. However, for these jobs to truly benefit workers, they must be trained in new skills related to ecotourism and environmental management. Sustainable tourism encourages the development of smaller-scale and community-based tourism instead of large resorts or traditional tourism services. This could lead to changes in how businesses in the tourism industry are organized and operate. Workers may have to adapt to new job requirements, such as developing skills in organizing ecotourism events, guiding tourists in community activities, or managing nature conservation projects. While sustainable tourism offers many new opportunities, workers in traditional tourism may face difficulties. Large hotels, restaurants, or large-scale tourism services may need to downsize or shift to more environmentally friendly business models, leading to staff reductions or changes in their operations. This could result in some workers in traditional tourism industries facing unemployment or having to change careers. Hawaii, one of the world's most popular tourist destinations, is currently facing unprecedented challenges in its tourism industry. The decline in tourist numbers, the rising cost of living, and changes in tourism policies have raised significant questions about the future of the island chain and the tourism industry in the U.S. Will Hawaii remain the beloved tourist paradise? Or will it become an exclusive destination only for the wealthy? And will the current policies help revive the island's economy, or will they cause further harm? Hawaii has long been a symbol of American tourism, with stunning natural landscapes, golden beaches, and a unique culture. However, in recent years, the cost of living, particularly housing prices, has skyrocketed, making life more difficult for local residents. At the same time, tourism policies such as higher visa fees, increased border control, and the rise of luxury resorts are leading to a concerning reality. Hawaii could become a destination reserved for the rich. The increasing number of luxury resorts and short-term rental properties, like those on Airbnb, has driven up housing prices in Hawaii, making it unaffordable for local residents. This could result in high-income tourists from countries like the US, Japan, and China becoming the primary visitors to Hawaii, while local residents are pushed out due to the lack of affordable housing. If this trend continues, Hawaii may lose its appeal to many middle-class tourists and become an exclusive high-end destination for a small segment of society. However, there is also a positive outlook that Hawaii can reinvent itself as a tourism paradise for everyone. With sustainable tourism policies, enhanced resource management, and the creation of more meaningful travel experiences rather than focusing solely on commercial and luxury tourism development. The current policies, including higher visa fees, strict border controls, and a focus on sustainable tourism development, will have a profound impact on Hawaii's economy and the tourism industry in the U.S. While sustainable tourism strategies like Maui could help attract environmentally conscious tourists, the policies of increased visa fees and stringent travel controls could negatively affect the tourism sector. The increase in visa fees for tourists from countries like India, China, and Mexico could lead to a decline in the number of visitors, especially as the overall cost of travel has also risen. This might cause tourists to seek alternatives with lower visa fees, such as European countries, Mexico, or the Caribbean islands. If the number of visitors decreases, Hawaii's tourism industry will face a significant revenue drop, directly impacting workers in hospitality, restaurants, transportation, and related sectors. Strict border control policies and COVID-19 testing requirements could create additional barriers for international visitors. Not only will this make it harder to attract tourists, but it also puts Hawaii in fierce competition with other destinations that have simpler entry procedures. This may cause Hawaii to lose its appeal to international visitors, particularly from major tourism markets like China and Japan. While sustainable tourism can help protect the environment and sustain the economy in the long run, the transition from mass tourism to ecotourism may face challenges in the initial stages. Small businesses and workers in traditional tourism may experience disruptions as the tourism industry shifts, and without proper preparation, these policies could lead to job losses, reduced income, and major changes in the industry structure. Hawaii will face an uncertain future, with strong competition from other destinations and changes in the tourism sector. To maintain its position as one of the world's top tourist destinations, Hawaii must carefully balance sustainable tourism development with creating an accessible tourism environment, ensuring that policies do not increase costs or create difficulties for workers or tourists. Policies supporting visitors from developing countries and reducing travel costs can help grow the tourism industry without harming the local community. Initiatives like ecotourism, community tourism, and environmental conservation activities will create new opportunities for workers, driving more sustainable and fair development for the community. To compensate for the decline in traditional tourists, Hawaii needs to explore new tourism markets, particularly from regions like Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Northern Europe. Creative marketing strategies and building a fresh image for the island are crucial to attracting international visitors. Before we end today's video, let's reflect on a big question. Can tourism in Hawaii and the U.S. tourism industry recover and thrive again in the future? Or will the current policies make things worse, turning tourism into something only accessible for the wealthy few? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this issue. Share your opinions in the comments below. What do you think about the future of tourism in Hawaii? And do you believe the sustainable tourism model can truly help the local community? All viewpoints are valuable, and we're excited to engage in this fascinating conversation with you. If you found this video helpful and want to stay updated on more insightful stories about tourism and related industry issues, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any future videos. And please like and share this video so your friends can join the conversation too. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.